Okay, thank you, Minister. As you know, carers allowance is mean tested to people living in the state and providing a full-time care and attention to a child or an adult who has such a disability that as a result they require full-time care. Now, I do know that in June in your budget 2022 there has been new measures, but Minister, Family Carers Ireland estimate that only 1 in 5 of Ireland's 375,000 carers receive care allowance due to the strict eligibility criteria attached to the payment. We don't acknowledge how families are really given this data dig out. You know, there's just such much issues there, Minister. Thank you, Councillor, for letting me in, and thank you, Minister.
Thanks, Deputy, for raising this. The main income supports to carers provided by my department include carers allowance, carers benefit, domiciliary care allowance and the carers support grant. Spending on these payments in 2022 is expected to exceed €1.5 billion. The current income disregard and means test for carers allowance is the most generous within the social welfare system. The amount of weekly earnings disregard is €332.50 for a single person and €665 for a couple. In acknowledgement of the important role the family carers play in our society, I introduced a number of measures as part of Budget 2022 in relation to supports provided by my department. These include the following changes to the carers allowance means test, which will take effect from June of this year. An increase in the weekly income disregard for carers allowance to €350 a week for single carers and to €750 for carers with a spouse or a partner. An increase in the capital savings disregard for carers allowance from €20,000 to €50,000. And can I just say, Deputy, that your colleague Deputy O'Keefe is a wizard on these things, and it was something he raised with me in fairness to him. A more generous means assessment for carers allowance has been called for over successive budgets by organisations representing carers, and this increases the general weekly income disregard and will enable more carers with modest incomes to become eligible for carers allowance and therefore provide an income support to carers whose earning capacity is significantly constrained as a consequence of their caring responsibilities. Increasing the capital disregard will allow carers who have accumulated relatively modest savings often to provide sufficient monies to care for a loved one to retain these savings without it impacting on their carers' payment. It also brings the capital formula applied to savings in the means assessment for carers allowance in line with disability allowance. Notwithstanding the increased level of support already in place for carers, I have asked my department to keep these measures under review as part of the annual budgetary process, and we are currently doing a review of recipients of carers allowance at the minute, so that they can immediately benefit from the changes that we are bringing in June. And you know, there are thousands of carers on the reduced rate, and they are going to get an increase because of those changes. But can I just say, we are doing the review, and it's important, and we do review all of these schemes during the year. So thank you.